Hello friends! Since in-person classes are closed due to the quarantine, we are offering them from the comfort of home and will try to fulfill all of your requests. We are shooting videos as quickly as we can and uploading each of them to our new YouTube channel, which just launched a few days ago. And judging by your numerous requests, I can tell that this online lesson will be very interesting for everyone who wants to join our YouTube channel. Begin to follow our classes about modeling, sewing, designing and making templates for women's clothing. So, the topic of today's lesson is how to take measurements correctly, how to write and calculate them correctly in order to learn how to sew, cut and model clothes using my very own technique. I received a lot of messages about this, so today I decided to improvise a video on this topic. Look guys, to learn how to make templates using my very own technique and build templates, you need a maximum of about 8 measurements. Now I will briefly tell you about it. And then, when you watch my other lessons, you will understand. Since you have already learned how to take measurements correctly and how to calculate correctly by these measures, it will be very easy for you to create templates and sew clothes according to my lessons. Let's go! Here is a beautiful female figure, which I easily sketched. The figure helps me to make beautiful forms. This is a figure of an average woman, not very skinny. Her legs should be in shape. Why? Because a lot of my subscribers write to me, can I learn to sew patterns on a non-standard figure? Dresses, skirts, etc. My answer, we can do this for any figure, standard or not. We all have different standards of beauty, so everyone can learn to do it in their own way. Look guys, we will need only 8 measurements. Everything else are supplementary measurements. They are made individually for each model and individually for each type of product. If for a belt product it will be 1 measurement, if it is a shoulder product, dresses, dressing gowns, blouses, etc., then there will be different measurements. The main measurement, of course, is the chest circumference. This will be our main measurement. That's how I made a sketch from the chest, since we are broadcasting from home. By the way, we wanted to live stream on Facebook, but because of slow internet we didn't succeed, so we started working on YouTube. This measurement is for the chest circumference. We wrap ourselves around the measuring tape along the widest part of the chest and in the center of the shoulder blades from the back. I will not turn my back because you get it. When we take any measure of girls, we always put a finger under the centimeter tape so that there is a small space left. For girls, I will take a standard figure size 48-50. Let's say our chest circumference is 100 centimeters. To build the template, I always say in class, for convenience, immediately divide by 2. In our case, it is 50 centimeters. This measurement, guys, dictates our size. Chest girls divided by 2 is 50, 50 centimeters is 50 size. I always circle this figure so that I can easily find it. The second measurement is also a main one and is the same for many clothes, for the shoulder, waist, for a skirt, trousers, etc. Waist circumference we measure. In principle, on the body, it is the narrowest measure, not counting the neck. Waist circumference is measured at the narrowest point of the figure. We write WC, waist circumference. Mandatory measurement, we constantly use it. Let me show you how we do it. We also draw a tight tape around the waist, the bottleneck in the figure. around the waist. We also substitute the finger and write the full measure. Since I'm doing this on a 48-50 figure, it will be about 90 centimeters. Directly divide it by 2 and get 45, half the waist circumference. You guys can, after we divide it and put an equal sign, write in brackets that this is a half of the circumference of the chest and this is a half the circumference of the waist. Let's continue. These are mandatory measurements. Generally, we can say that the most important measurement, according to my technique, is the hip circumference. What are the hips of a girl? This measurement is measured on the widest part of our hips. In front, it is at the level of the thigh. We wrap around the widest part from behind, from the back, and call it WH, the width of the hips. Shown yourself? We measure by the most convex part of our figure, wrap around, substitute one finger in the same way and write 110 centimeters. Immediately divide them by 2 and get 55 centimeters. The half circumference of the hip will be 55. Once again, I will say, and I will repeat many times, I want to teach you. I know that you will learn. Immediately divide all measures in half. All widths are always divided in half. Next, the measurement which we also really need is the width of the shoulder. It is measured from the connection of the neck to the shoulder and from the connection of the shoulder to the arm. Usually in the classroom, I give standard measurements for the width of the shoulder, but you should still be able to measure this if we continue to study together. From joining the neck to the shoulder to joining the shoulder to the arm. This line is the width of the shoulder. The standard measurement for size 48-50 is 10 centimeters, and we don't divide it into 2. That's it. Chest width. Guys, now I can divide the figure in half like this. This is in front and this is at the back. Chest width. Guys, now I can divide the figure in half like this. This is in front and this is the back. The width of the chest is measured here, above the chest. Many say that it is necessary to measure it along this line in front, but not above the chest. The width of the chest is, in principle, the width of our chest, yet not the width of the bust. It is measured from the connection of the armpits, like this, and like that. Here we go. This is the width of the chest. The chest width at 48-50 size will be approximately 38 centimeters. Of course, this is individual. Maybe at the 48 size and 42 centimeters the width of the chest. It all depends on the bust, but I take more standard measures. We also divide the width of the chest in half and get 19 centimeters. Let's continue. The width of the back. Look, we've divided the girth of the chest. First we measure the width of the chest, and now we will measure the width of the back. The width of the back is measured in the same way by the armpits. It starts from the connection of the arm with the shoulder. This is place. And it is also necessary to measure along the back, grasp and fold. The width of the back will be standard size of 40 centimeters. Look again. Chest width, waist width, hip width, and shoulder width. It seems to me that I'm explaining very clearly, so you should understand. You are capable students. Next is the width of the bust and the width of the back, and after the length of the item. The length of the item is always measured on the back. You can never measure the length of the item like this. It will be wrong, because in front it has a volume above and behind from below. The correct length of the item is measured from the 7th cervical vertebra from here, and so along the back. We fix at the waist and go down further. The length of the item, guys, is a measure that must be taken in its entirety. It is never divided by 2 or 4. It will remain completely intact. The length of the item from the 7th cervical vertebra, like this. We fix it on the waist, and then what length we want to choose to the bottom. Strictly on the back only. This measure is never taken from either side or front. I will take a standard length of 100 centimeters, classic length. It is also called European length. And the last measure, guys, is the height of the chest. The height of the chest is measured from this point, the junction of the neck, and this point of height of the chest, the highest point on our chest. It is measured like this. If I show it on myself, it will look like this and like this. You have seen all my secrets, where, what, width and height. The height of the chest is always taken in its entirety. If we take the standard size and standard height from us, it will be like 27 centimeters. For height 165 to 170. We also need to divide the width of the back in half. I skip this step. The width of the back in half is 20 centimeters. We will need these measurements, 8 measurements, when we will make templates for different types of clothing and different models. To model and design. It seems to me that everything is very simple. Everything else is in ancillary steps. There are the measurements, guys, which in principle can be used as standard. We can use a standard for neck circumference, for back height, for example. And when we are in the classroom, many of people who studied with me, I call them cadets if they attend classes, know that all the other steps are auxiliary. And I always give standard measurements to my students so that it is easier for them to work and so that they can learn simply and easily. What's next? Your task for the next lesson is to get to know and remember how to take measurements correctly, how to write them down correctly, and if you do this, it will be easy for you to study with me further. It will be easy for you to learn material in the future on design and modeling, and I promise to teach you. And you guys promise me that you will study. Bye. Always yours, Mary.